Thank you everyone for the great discussion session. It was absolutely well moderated by Mr. Ankit, the head of Indian Business Development and AmpleLogic. Please, we will have the time for sessions and photos. For the photos, we will have the time for it after the event. Please sit down. Next, we are delighted to invite Mr. Harry Panesal, Vice President, Corporate Quality at Ozone Group of Companies, India. Mr. Panesal comes with comprehensive experience of over 27 years in the field of quality, with demonstrated accomplishments in the building commercial quality organization and implementing compliance and quality improvements. He is engaged to review, improve, implement best quality management practices, WRT, applicable CGMP, and guidelines published by US FDA and EU. Mr. Panesal is a certified editor, a certified reviewer, and a certified trainer. Welcome, Mr. Panesal.
This is moving forward. Good afternoon once again. Masal Khairi. Raise your hands to see everybody is alive today. Namaskar. Thank you. Namaste and Namaskar both is doing good. बहुत बढ़िया है. So I think it's the time after lunch which makes the people very difficult to keep themselves awake, right? And everybody is snoozing like anything. But then I will try to make it as interactive as possible so that we all can enjoy this session and we can learn something out of it. I won't go through all these slides. These are made only for the presentation part of it, which would be shared with you after this session. But let us understand how this computer system validation has taken a change with the publication of GAMP 5 second edition guideline. We have been going through in the industry for quite a long time now. So what would be the agenda in this discussion? What is the reason for the second edition when the first edition was going on? And why it was not GAMP 6? Why it was GAMP 5 second edition? So then we will be discussing on the changes from the original GAMP 5. What are the main changes? What has been retained? What are the significant revisions that has happened? What are the new topics that are added? And how it would affect your present CSV. See, all of you might have implemented one or the other electronic system or the digital transformation or digital solutions in your company. So probably everybody has a fear that once a new guideline comes, my whole system will be disturbed. And I have to do the things once again. So what exactly do you need to do and how much do you need to do, that we will be discussing. So why was GAMP 5 needed? Because when as a industry people, as a quality managers or as a managers working in the pharmaceutical company, we all are aware that it is a huge amount of documentation, huge amount of systems which have been working together into implementation of computerized systems. And probably the approach was only to, satisfy the auditors, not to do the compliance. The main purpose was to satisfy the auditors. You make a huge documentation one after the another, one after the another, one after the another. But ultimately it is not giving any result out of it. So people in the industry were feeling the pain of it. And to get the pain reduced, they have been approaching the different, you can say, regulatory agencies that how it should be eased upon. So on the basis of this, they have implemented a new guideline, and that's why the main body of that guideline has been kept together without making any major changes, and that's the only reason it doesn't become GAMP 6. It remained as GAMP 5 with only few updates and few changes. So what is different? As already talked to you in the previous session by Mr. Manoj Chitnis, that transformation from CSV to CSA, and it requires critical thinking as one of the important aspects, wherein from the traditional kind of a thought process, we have to now see and do the things which are really relevant in doing it. Sometimes we do the things which are irrelevant because it is required as a guideline, right? And we start building up piles of papers, one over the another, without any thought process. And ultimately, when the auditor is at your site, they go through all the documentation and they found some hidden ghost into those documents, and then you are again in the problem. Do you agree with me? Yes. So the message is loud and clear with this new guideline that what critically you need to think. You do the risk assessment of your processes. You have to whatever is really necessary to do. Not everything you can do to just satisfy the auditors. And then it has given, when we were talking about the erstwhile GAMP 5 regulation, it is not talking about cloud-based systems. It was the systems which are into the organization. Then this new guideline is now implemented for cloud-based systems like IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, wherein your server could be your property, or your server could be at the client's place, and then you are integrating your processes. And then using the agile methodology. Agile methodology is not like, if you go to subsequent slides, I'll tell you what agile kind of a working means exactly. So it is giving a new approach of system testing, where that complete set of IQ, OQ, PQ, and all this kind of activity. It is basically not a validation or qualification. It is basically an assurance of a system, that whatever the system is installed into your company and for what purpose it has been intended for, is it performing that person? I'll take an example. All of you owns a car. All of you owns a car. Yes or no? Nobody is speaking. I think nobody is owning a car. So you all own a car, and whenever you go to a showroom to buy a car, what do you say to a salesman? I need a first is price, or do you need a car? No, any time. At any given point of time. Do you want to buy a car, or you just go and say what price this car is? You want to buy a car. So when you want to buy a car, there is some thought process in your mind that what is the purpose of buying that car? How many people are there in your family? Do you want a 4-seater car, 2-seater car, or a 7-seater car? Is it right? And when you buy and decide on number of seats, and then you go for whether it is on a petrol, it is on a gasoline, or it is on the electronic charging. And then when you decide your specifications, you ask a price for that requirement. So earlier in the previous guidelines, what is happening? Without giving a thought process, what do you want? You want a car, buy a car, right? Whatever is available with you, you bring it, you put it in your garage, and then you find that there are 6 people who was put into a car which is a 4-seater one. And you are running on the need to choose your vendor who is supplying you the computerized system, how you want to validate it, and what are the documentation you require to add into this, and what kind of audit requirements do you fulfill. So this is the overall objective of GAMP 5 second edition. So it is basically using the modern technology of artificial intelligence, machine learning. In one of the previous sessions, somebody has asked the question that how can we integrate artificial intelligence and machine learning into our existing software solutions. So probably in the previous GAMP 5 regulation, there was no such provision wherein artificial intelligence or IoTs can be used into. But now they have given a complete setup of the initiatives wherein you can add onto the artificial intelligence and machine learning also into EDMS, EQMS, everything come together. And when you want to prepare an APQR, it takes automatically the data from all those resources and prepare the APQR for you. So this is one kind of application. So this has been given away in GAMP 5 second edition. What is the structure? The main body remains same. There is some appendices which has been changed, and let us see what is being changed. So this was earliest index of the previous GAMP 5. The only change was into the introduction part, whereas other sections have not been changed anywhere in the GAMP 5 second edition. And then management appendices, there is only change in IT infrastructure and critical thinking, which has been added new, and without changing anything else from the previous. What exactly is changed? That's the only reason, because major of the things have not changed. It has remained as GAMP 5 second edition. Specifying requirement. There are significant updates. Earlier it was URS. In this place, earlier it was URS. And then functional specifications have been retired and merged with specifying requirement. So earlier it was URS and FS, URS and functional specification. Now it has become specifying the requirement. So when I have given you the example of a car, now you have specified your your requirements. Your requirements is a car with the 7 seats running on a gasoline and in the price tag of 15 to 20 lakh rupees. So this is what is your specifying requirements. And then there is a change in the testing of computerized system, agile software development, software tools, these wherein the artificial intelligence and machine learning is also added into. Then again, operational appendices, there is no change. Repair activity, retirement is being merged with operational change control and configuration management. And then special interest appendices, S5 managing quality within an outsourced IS and IT environment is retired and it is merged with M11, Management 11. Management 11 was, what was Management 11? Let's go back. Management 11 was IT infrastructure. So retirement has been made in, is now merged. So this is a basic framework of GAMP 5 second edition, wherein principal framework is at the top, wherein it gives you the guiding things, and other side was the erstwhile GAMP 5. So it was the main body remained same. There were little changes in this. Appendices again remained same, but there were little changes. Then good practice guides. There were always been associated some good practice guides with GAMP 5, and now again with GAMP 5 second edition, the same practices remains in place, and supporting information metrics remains the same. This is computerized system compliance, that is records and data integrity. So your compliance is now being merged together with records and the integrity of those records. Earlier, when you were doing the compliance of your computerized systems, you were generating a data. So data integrity and data is being taken care of as a separate process, and computerized system validation was taken care as a separate process, and there was no integration between both of them. So now the integration is being made, and this second edition came into effect. The key topics which have been redefined or refined or strengthened in the updated version is, it is focused on more on patient safety, data integrity and product quality. It is process and product understanding. Earlier, you bought a system, you installed in your company, you validated it and then closed it. There was no understanding with the people because people need to perform the activities as been intended through the SOPs. Now it has more focus on product and process understanding. Earlier it was only the product understanding. People were not understanding the processes. And now life cycle approach is also being added into as a part of quality management system. Scalable life cycle activities. Science-based quality risk assessment. Earlier it was a paper-based risk assessment. You were not exactly identifying what risk it has been posing to your processes. We have bought a computer. The only risk was the connectivity errors, backdating, electronic signatures. We were only bothered about these three things, basically. There should not be backdating, no addition or deletion of the data, or you cannot modify the data. You cannot create a backup on your Windows. So these were all the requirements. Assessment. When you have installed a computer, instead of a man, it is well understood that it should give you all the requirements which error could have been made by a human being. As a man, I can make an error. Why I am putting a computer? I am putting a computer because my person or my people or myself is not able to do the right things, and I am making time and again the errors. So why to go ahead and do all those activities which are already built in the computers, which cannot be changed? So leveraging supplier involvements. This is again become a very important thing. For Alandulus, I'll take an example. If they have installed say 5 or 6 softwares, they have a different vendors for them. 2 of the systems are from AmpleLogic, one is from Star Limbs, one is from this software is from Empower. So while selecting your supplier who supplies you the computerized system or the electronic or digital system, you should be very careful of. Sometimes you select a vendor who does not himself has a knowledge of doing the activities. They are into the system because of the business. So when you take a vendor who is into the business and not understanding exactly what is the technology behind it, you run into difficulties, and in the later stage of implementation, post go live, your support systems becomes very weak. So if you hire a vendor who is been trained to do all these activities and who have been in the market as the solutions regularly to the people, probably you should be rest assured and can have a good sleep in the night that your system is working and the people behind that is all there to support your system even when you are sleeping in the night. Then new technologies, artificial intelligence and machine learning is being implemented. It is based on one of the key goals, protect patient safety, product quality and data integrity by facilitating and encouraging achievement of systems that are effective, reliable and is of high quality. Focus is on patient safety, product quality and data integrity. These are the focus. How? By implementing computerized system for effective, reliable and high quality systems. So you need to understand, you have to break this statement into three parts. The focus is safety, quality and integrity. Computers for effective, reliable and high quality data management system. The main issues highlighted in GAMP 5 second edition surrounds innovation, critical thinking, agile methodologies and IT service management. So you have to do something which is different, innovative, not a monotonous kind of an activity. Innovative does not mean that you can avoid things which are not intended for. You cannot avoid the things, you have to do. But then you can innovate how to do it for the ease of operation. Right? Critically think of it, put some agile methodologies and then use IT service management. IT service management is again your vendor assessment procedure or the vendor who is providing you the services for your established computer. Shows the evolution from computerized system validation to computerized system assurance, for which the session has already been taken by Manoj. CSV to CSA. So linear approach versus agile approach. Earlier in previous GAMP 5 edition, it was the linear approach. Buy, install and validate. That's all. Need not to do anything. And it was a certainty mindset. The mindset was certain. We have to do like this, we have to do like this, we have to do like this. We will do like this, we will do like this, and we will do like this. And then shut the box, forget it. Do you agree with me? Yes, it was the same kind of, it was certainty. It is like this, it happens like this. We don't want to think anything else, because if somebody says that you have, but now in the new edition, it is like iterative, experimental and exploratory approach. That is cyclical process. Cyclical process. If you look into this diagram, it was erstwhile a V model only. It was same as a V model. But then here design, build, test, design, build, test. Design, build, test is in the cyclical manner. You cannot rely on one-time testing and then put the documents together and you are fine with it. No. It should be agile. And then this mindset is known as discovery mindset. It is not a certainty mindset. You have to discover new things. You have to become a Columbus of your system. The main body introduction, I think if you want me to go through all these sections one by one, probably we can spend time. Otherwise, if you would like to skip me out, you can let me know. So compliance is longer the only focus of the guideline. Compliance is no longer, I have missed one word, no longer. Compliance is no longer the objective. Now it is only the emphasis on safety, product quality and integrity. It includes importance of IT service providers. Right? For you, here the IT service provider is whom? Why are we here for? Why are we here for? What is the purpose of all of us gathering together here? Is it only data integrity? Because my mindset is only towards data integrity, that's it. She's been talking about data integrity since morning. Being together in this hall to learn about something which is avoiding your data integrity by putting the computerized system into the thing from a vendor like AmpleLogic and to integrate your systems to get rid of all your compliance issues. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it the same thought process for which we are here? Right. So agile methodology, the use of software tools to be used throughout the life cycle and inclusion of artificial intelligence and machine learning. This is the only changes which has been done into the introduction session. So similarly for other sections also, IT infrastructure is being now I will give this presentation to everyone. I think Manu, we can give the presentations to the people? Yes, no? So probably you can go through each of the sections. We will not waste our most of the time because this is just a read through. So probably if we are not interacting with each other, if we are not talking to each other, probably the same thing happens. If one software is not talking to another software, probably it will be again data integrity issue. Right, ma'am? So we'll quickly skip this through. So what would be the impact on your current good CSV practices? What would be the impact on your current good manufacturing practices? So there would not be, I think, encourages organization to move towards greater adoption of digital for better maintenance of compliance. It is only required to have a digitalization, but I'm not saying that manual processes are not good. But manual processes has all the chances and the pitfalls wherein your people can fall, your compliance can drop down, and then you can have a gap between the regulations and the systems in your organization, which will become a dangerous sign in the future. So providing a digital solutions is the only key to success these days. So it is welcome by including the cloud technologies. No need to replace everything. So this is the key takeaway. From GAMP 5 second edition, this is the key takeaway. No need to replace everything. But yes, some work needs to be done. You cannot avoid by saying that we cannot do anything. We don't want to do anything. You have to do something. And what is that? Accommodate the repeatable cyclic process. So in earlier GAMP 5, what you have done? You have bought the system, you have installed it, you have tested it, and you have closed the files. After implementation of this, what you can do? I can give you an example. So once you have bought a car, right, and it has become old now, but you don't have a money to spend on a new car, what you will do? You need to upgrade that car with some add-on features wherein you will spend little amount of it. Correct? You cannot convert a 5-seater car to 7-seater car. But by that time, your children might have become adults. So you can continue with the same car. But then doing take it to the service station, get it little modified to accommodate your present needs, and then you can run easily for next couple of years with that. In the meantime, you can arrange the funds to buy a new car. So this is how the GAMP 5 second edition will support you in. So library processes, that is incident, change control, release management will become more robust, because before release of it, you need to check all these things, that whether your batch which has been manufactured has no open deviations, no open change control, and can be released very easily. And it supports the product lifecycle approach. So since nothing has been majorly changed, that's why it is not GAMP 6, it remained as GAMP 5 second edition. And how this CSV to CSA with these kind of, you can say the changed topics, how it has been comparative to each other. CSV was requiring a planning, but CSA requires what is the intended use. Planning, I want to buy a car in 2 years. That is my planning. In next 2 years, I wanted to buy Kia, but Kia is out of the market. Now what do you want to do? I won't buy a car because I want Kia. And now but Kia is out of the market. What you will do? You have to identify the intended use. Your intended use is to travel from one place to another place. It is not only the Kia car which can take you from one place to another place. Right? That defining design specification, functional specification and URS, it changed to risk-based approach, critical thinking. Then testing include IQ, OQ, PQ. Here it requires assurance activities which has been defined in testing of computerized system D5. Reporting all test-based evidences? No. Not required to report all test-based evidences. It requires establishing appropriate reports, which has been really value addition. Earlier what was happening? On each page, doer, checker. Doer, checker. Not required anymore because you are getting all the printouts from a system wherein the test stamps are there. You can sign at the end of the document. So earlier in the CSV approach, the documentation was 80% and testing was 20%. In the new CSV or GAMP2, the testing is 80% and the documentation remains as 20%. So where do you find yourself comfortable? Doing more testing and keeping less documentation, or doing less testing and keeping more documentation? So once your documentation are more, there are always a chances of more problems. So it is always better to have a less documentation and do more of the testing. So there are 6-7 takeaways from CSV to CSA. It is basically risk-based approach, least documentation. It reduces the paperwork by 80%. The results in less issue encountered in production more of the time. It does not include creating new regulations, but level sets FDA's expectations. And CSV is supported by the FDA and by the International Society for Pharmaceutical Engineering. It has been supported by it. So movement from CSV to CSA is, again, you can say it is compliance-centric mindset to quality-focused culture. Earlier it was compliance-centric. My audit should not fail, but I know there is a problem in my organization. But my intention was only to satisfy the auditor. No. Now the cultural mindset needs to happen. It should not be compliance-based, it should be now the quality-focused. And leverage your software, perform supplier audits. Perform your supplier audits and finalize the audits on the basis of the merit, not on the basis of your friendships. Consider using CSV as tool to automate, know the intended use, high risk features, operations and functions, and then review and update your current policies. Review and update. It is not saying change your current policies. You have to review and you have to update as per today's requirement. So at the end of the day, the key takeaways are, if I am saying that second edition does not want you to do more of the activities, it does not mean that you will not do any documentation. If it is not documented, it didn't happen. The key remains the same. If it is not documented, it did not happen. If it is unscripted testing, it does not mean no documentation. It still means documentation. But the level of documentation should reduce from 80% to 20%. And then traceability is still required. You cannot say that you have done this activity as a standalone and you have done this activity as a standalone and there is no connect between the two activities happening together. So these are the three takeaways. You have to remember always that if it is not documented, it is not performed. Unscripted testing does not mean no documentation, and traceability is still required. So with this session, I complete my session and I am open for taking any questions from you and I would be happy to answer them all. Thank you very much. Any questions, please? Yeah, it is still in the draft stage.
Yes.
It is yet not finalized.
So I think when this go to the issuance session to be different for this initiatives. I think it may be differ or updated or changed because till now I think all of this is initiatives. Yes or
Yes. So when we have been talking to regulators, I had a chance to talk to the regulators when this second edition has been published. So they are taking the comments still from the industry for this purpose. And to be very honestly speaking, it is an overwhelming response because industry is they are finding that the systems are in place, but yes, but not in use, not in practice. And even if it is practice, it is not complying to the regulatory requirements. Even if the full documentation is done, still there is gaps in the documentation.
And also, Dr. Karim, if you remember, when you go to the validation of this software, maybe take scripts, many of scripts and scenarios and print whole huge amount
of it.
Is it, can I make video, for example, record video in this approach? We discussed before for this, but guideline not supported for this and auditor not accepted.
And moreover, as rightly said by Dr. Mustafa, previously what happens is you need to take every screenshot. For a test script, you have to write a test script, you have to run it, you have to take a screenshot, you have to put it in a file. Why you want to take a screenshot now? My question is why you want to take a screenshot? It can be verified online if the auditor is at your site. Right? If you are really intended to do a good quality job in your organization, if you really intended to establish a good computerized system in your organization, if you are having a good and technically sound vendor who is supplying you this system, then why you need to run all those test scripts in your scenario and put the huge cumbersome screenshots into the systems? Probably if your system is 21 CFR Part 11 compliant, you don't have any option to do any changes, and if the auditor is at your site, he can come and check online on the systems. So this is how you can reduce your documentation. This is how you can reduce your efforts into doing the computerized system validation, and probably this will save you from the compliance issues which arises due to the big amount of work you need to do. So any other question? So thank you very much for patiently listening and enjoy yourself. Good evening. Thank you very much.